Thank you so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're so happy that you joined us today, and we really hope that you enjoyed your holiday as well.
Oh man, that was really a gas. We had our restraints on a little bit, because of the health situation. But nevertheless, it's just good to make another year pass by. See the sunrise.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, even though I should say that even Thanksgiving had passed, but we got the holiday season still upon us coming up. So we still want you to be safe, just as Breezy said, with the constraints on just a little bit, with hopes of being able to relax again next year. So anyway, as usual, we got a great show lined up for you. We have an interview with the one, the only DJ E-House, all the way down in Texas by way of Kalamazoo and Arizona, and we just can't wait to get to it, right?
Oh man, it's spreading, it's growing, it's spreading, and getting intertwined in all kind of ways. So yeah, we love it, and I just can't wait to see just what happens, what's waiting for us around the corner. That's got juicy goodness.
Yes, indeed. All right, so before we get to the interview, we're going to play some beats by yours truly. And since DJ E-House is a house head, some of these are going to have a little bit of a house vibe for you. All right, let's go. right. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We have the one, the only DJ E-House in the building with us. How you feeling today?
Doing good. Can't complain.
Good. We're so excited to have you. And, just to give the listeners a little bit of background on who is DJ E-House, give us a little insight behind your name and how long you've been into music and, what inspires you.
Oh, wow. Well, E-House, how I got the name. Well, I've been doing this a long time. I'm probably, as they would call me, an OG now, because I literally started in the 80s, mid-80s. And my first paying gig was in 85. I'll never forget it. It was a basement party in New Horizon Village in Kalamazoo. And
shout out to New Horizon.
Right. And that's where I got started. But I got the name E-House by people calling me that, Eric who plays house, because that's what I played, was house music. Because back then, the whole Detroit scene was, definitely popping off at that time, with the tech, the ghetto tech and everything. Well, it wasn't ghetto back then, but it was still definitely, what they called Detroit techno. And then, of course, Chicago house. And of course, where we, come from in Kalamazoo, it's exactly halfway in between both cities. And I was fortunate enough to have family in both cities. So I got to go to record stores at both places all the time whenever I was visiting family. But that's kind of how it started from there. So, but then, of course, as time moves on, you have to progress beyond, what your normal genre is. And I got into hip hop and everything like that, of course, as well, doing parties, because you realize people's tastes, are varying and wide. And so that's how I got into everything and started doing clubs and things like that.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a lot of history there. And yeah. So how you had already mentioned about how people have like a eclectic taste, and so you branched into other things. What are some of the things that you use to determine how you put together your set to be able to accommodate an audience of a large variety?
Well, it's trial and error. Because I'm one that's never ever pre-planned a set. Per se. I knew I had certain hits I had to play, of course, over the years and things like that. But I kind of remember one of my first years of realizing that I had to really introduce more hip hop into what I was playing. I was doing a party up at Western for one of the fraternities or sororities, and it was literally 1 year changed from the next, and it was a fall party, and I remember playing, just knocking out all the hits, all the dance tracks. Everybody was just kind of standing around, and everybody's looking at me like, hey, we want to hear some hip hop. And I was like, what? And I'm like, okay. And it was like homecoming weekend. So that was a Friday night party. Literally the next day I had to go out and buy $300-400 worth of records just to get current on my hip hop, because I realized I wasn't. And it was a learning lesson. And that's the thing. And so I did that. And from then on, I vowed, I was like, okay, I'm never going to fall behind again. You have to be prepared as a DJ, because I follow the floor. What is the floor responding to me? When I'm watching out there as the dance floor, how are they responding? Are they, liking what's going on? Is it time to change it up? Things like that. I read the floor constantly. Because I've learned over the years, if you just do pre-programmed sets, that's great and all. If you're kind of a headline type DJ, that is kind of expected of you. And that's what people want to see. But, most of us who are just average everyday DJs, as I say, who do that, where, we don't do anything else but DJ, you learn how to read that crowd, because that's your money maker. And once you build a word of mouth that, oh yeah, he's that cat that played tracks that I didn't even know I really wanted to hear, and he played them at the right time, and he, played the right song, and it was perfect, and that's what I remember about him. And so the next time they hear that I'm playing, they come out. So that's how I do things, and that's how I got into playing a lot of different things. And so back in the days before we had what they call now open format and all of that stuff, it was just you just had to read the room, you had to read the area, you had to know the region you're in, where you're playing too, and what they like, because what I can play in Kalamazoo doesn't always fly necessarily in Grand Rapids. And same thing from when I played in Grand Rapids doesn't fly in Kalamazoo or Detroit or even Chicago, everywhere I've played, over my lifetime, it's very regional. There are certain things, so it's one of those things that you just kind of learn and pick up as a DJ and, an aficionado of music.
Yeah, so everywhere kind of has their own culture and you learn how to adapt to it. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, you definitely do. I tell you, the biggest eye-opener for me and where I learned my kind of soul roots was growing up. My family is originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and so in the summers, as growing up, up until I was 17, I went to Memphis for 2 to 3 weeks every summer. And I remember after I started DJing, I'd go to Memphis, and I ended up running into, which was really odd, an old friend who had moved down there, and he was kind of getting connected from the scene. And he was like, I want you to DJ, and I'm like, I don't know this place. I don't know. And he told me kind of some basics, and I was like, well, I'll do 30 minutes, and I was like, I'll see. We ended up having a blast, but it was the first time I ever played like a full set of almost all R&B. And it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, it's folks my age, 18, 19 years old, but down in Memphis, that's what they love, Back then, Frankie Beverly and Maze and stuff like that. You were playing that at a party. And I was like, what? Never heard this before, not to play at a party.
Right.
So it was crazy. But yeah, you definitely got to know your areas.
Man, that's pretty impressive. Wouldn't you say so, Breezy?
Yes, I agree. That whole flow. I've got a business buddy from Memphis, and he's educated me concerning that whole flow from Memphis all the way down to Gulf South.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's some rich tradition. A lot of warm people down there, and they definitely have their own flow, and I kind of like it. So I think more and more people are going to be becoming aware of that Gulf South thing, but if you've got your toe in it, then that tells me, what kind of person you are, and that's going to be, you got some goodness in you.
Oh yeah.
Indeed. And so, you had mentioned like there's a different way for different things. So, if somebody's a headliner DJ, it makes sense for them to have their sets ready, but how you pay attention to the crowd. For anybody that's out there that's thinking about DJing or getting into it, do you have any advice regarding that for like newcomers who may not be as experienced as you are with learning how to read people and knowing, when they should switch it up?
Yeah, of course. For anybody new to DJing, first off, it's really hard for me because this is the part where I'm old school, because I'm like, this was a craft that I worked really hard at. And I put my 10,000 hours in of practicing and getting good, trying to make my mixes sound like the cats I used to hear on the radio back in the day, not realizing they were multi-tracking and all those things. And these, technology, which the thing about DJing too is we've always been about technology. Yes, it started out on turntables, but DJing, evolved into CDs, and now it's all digital and things of that sort. But that technology also makes it easier for people to think they can be a DJ. And so the challenge I have is, if you want to be a DJ, I want you to first learn and understand how music is made. A lot of people don't even understand that, song production, it does have, patterns and processes to it. There's so many bars for your intro and things like that, and your actual, the heart of the song where you've got someone singing and or rapping, that's so many bars long. And you have, a bridge, and then you have a break. All of those things, you need to learn music. And the reason why I say that is I'm not a musician, but I know what keys certain songs are in, things of that sort, and what songs sound good mixed with another song. I don't just mix purely because, this will sound good right now, because songs in people's heads, they go, you'll be playing at 125 BPM, and all of a sudden somebody throws up something that's 110 BPM as a suggestion. And I'm just looking at them kind of like, do you even know what that song really sounds like? But it's because in their head, that would be dope right now. Well, no, not necessarily, because you can't do that. But that would be my first thing to say to anybody being new to this, is actually learn how songs are constructed, how music is truly made. And then once you get an understanding of that, mixing becomes, kind of the next step, because that's the other thing too. I over the years, these what I call button pressing DJs have come to light where they don't even try to blend anymore. It literally is an echo, fade out, and bam to the next song. And that's, that works for them. If that works and the people keep dancing, that's fine. But that's not mixing. That's just playing another song. And so that's the next thing is learn how to blend, learn how to beat match, learn how to use your equipment. Of course, you hear a lot of people talk nowadays that, we got controllers and all these things, and we got sync button and all of that. Well, that technology is there to free up the DJ to perform nowadays. And I'm the old school kind of guy where my DJing is my performance. I don't need to wave at you and make heart hands and all of that and stuff and jump up on the table. I don't do that. What I want you to remember is you had a dang good time, on the dance floor that night when I played my set of whatever it was, an hour, 45 minutes, or 2 hours, whatever. Did you have a good time? Did you, remember those certain tracks, or did you try to Shazam something that I played because you hadn't heard it before? And so that's the thing is learn how the songs are made, learn how to blend, how to actually mix, and then, be willing to take chances. Be surprised, of stepping out and not just following the norm, taking chances. Because, years ago, I moved away actually to Phoenix, Arizona. And it was kind of on a humbug. I just really wanted to get out of Michigan because I'm tired of the snow. And I ended up finding a scene there that was huge, and it was for house music. And I was like, whoa. But then I also found a whole turntablist scene there, which really surprised me. And it was awesome. And that's how now, I can actually, I'm proud to say I know DJ Z-Trip, and cats like that because they're from Phoenix. Cats on the house scene, Eddie Amador. Who did the original track house music, which was like the anthem for years. And those cats are from Phoenix. And I remember stumbling and realizing that once I got there. I didn't realize Phoenix had this music scene like this. But these cats were so on fire and are so on fire for that music that I will put, dimes to dollars that some of the best DJs that you've never heard of are in that area in the Southwest, because of just, their love of that music. So, and just, just the art of it all. And so that's what I would tell people is just understand that it really is an art form. It's just not a way to get around and be popular and be famous. It is an actual art form, and to get good at it. Because if you're going to get out there and get the opportunity to perform and do a show or do whatever, make it good. That's really all you really should do. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen, folks who get an opportunity and they really, didn't practice, they didn't deserve it, and they weren't ready for that spotlight that they got. And it was just only because they happen to know the right people, and that's not always a good thing for the audience. If them people are paying, $10, $15, $20 to get in to a gig, I want them to have a good time. So that would be my advice.
And I love that, because I've actually been in that situation that you described. So, I paid my money to get in, and the DJ was,
whack.
Yes. I was trying to sugarcoat it, but that's what it was. So, sloppy transitions.
Yep.
The BPMs were nowhere near each other. The vibes didn't fit.
Exactly.
It was just awful, and I ended up leaving early just because this is no good. You can't even tune that out and have conversations with people who are there.
Right, you can't get into any kind of groove. You can't. Yeah, you're distracted by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I understand. And that's the thing. As DJs, we tend to be very judgmental of other DJs. I've had my share of criticism thrown upon me too, because there's been times where I've train wrecked if somebody bumped the table and I couldn't recover quick enough and things like that. And it happens. But when you see it consistently and you're like, how does this person keep getting booked?
Right.
And it's just surprising. And you're like, okay. But then I, look at it and I just focus on me, and I focus on what I'm doing and making sure I know what I'm doing. because when I do, nowadays when I do put out mixes, which is not that often, but I put the same amount of heart and love into it as I did, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It still gets me fired up. I get excited. Songs get me emotional. There are certain songs that I will play and you'll see my old butt over there in the corner wiping my eye, because that's the other thing for me too is, I truly love music. And so for me, music is very much tied to events and tied to other experiences. And so that all comes into play and I think helps with, being a good DJ, is because I'm like, you know what, I know this makes me feel this way. I think this might, help these folks out too. And so that's how I do it. I very much DJ from the heart. So that's what I would definitely say my style is DJ from the heart.
That's a beautiful thing, right, Breeze?
Oh yeah. And I'd just like to shout out to the folks, if you've tuned in late, you're listening to the illustrious voice of our guest DJ E House, and right here with us now. You're bringing such an educational vibe. I know the peeps are really soaking that in, and that's some real stuff. It's not manufactured, and so just continue sharing your share right now.
Indeed, yeah. And so you can even hear the passion in your voice when you talk about it. And, that, like you said, those are the things that help people make those connections, with the music. Now, you had mentioned something a little earlier about, you checking to see if people Shazamming it because it's a song that they hadn't heard before. And I feel like that's a great way to talk about how important DJs were and still are to the culture, as in breaking music to new people.
Yes, we broke the music. That's something that I learned early on. One of my early mentors, also from Kalamazoo, Tony Jackson, Funk Master, for J Ditto, DJ Vice is what he goes by. Those cats showed me that's that part where I was saying, don't be afraid to step out and try something new. And that's breaking music. And you've got to do that. If you hear a new artist, just because it's not being played 40 times an hour on the radio station, that doesn't mean it's not good. Is it a dope track? Play it. And so those are things that I learned. And yes, you need to break music still to this day, because there are cats out there trying to get started in this business. And now, because we are digital, getting into the business is a lot easier, but getting your music heard actually is a lot harder, because there's so much to get through, so much not good music that you got to filter through to get to the good stuff. And so when I see people Shazam something and it doesn't come back as a result, and they kind of I see them do it again, and I'm like, I'll talk to them. I'll wave them over. Here's what this is. I want them to know what the song is. I don't want it to be a secret, because I want that artist, to get that sale. I want that artist to, get more promotion. That's my job as a DJ, is to promote these artists, and so that's the thing too, is you have to embrace these up and coming performers and artists and things like that, because if you don't, then again, you're not helping progress the scene at all. You're not helping progress, music in general. Because you have to play the new stuff, not just what everybody wants to hear over and over and over.
Right.
Yep.
And then, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just saying,
yeah. So, then that goes back to once maybe that song does get some more play and it starts to get more popular, then they remember, oh yeah, I was at that event with DJ E House when I heard this the first time. Again, you got another music connection. So yeah, DJs are so important for that. And so, I try to pay homage every now and then, on social media or whatever, but I mean it when I say it. DJs literally do make the world go round. They're so important.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. And that's the thing. And the thing is with DJs and musicians, it is a hand-in-hand thing, especially when it comes to hip hop and dance music and house music and stuff like that, is they are hand in hand. You really do. It's a symbiotic relationship. You need each other to get that out there and to build. So that's something, and I've always, made I always felt proud that I, was able to make connections with some different artists and different DJs over the years that I, even to this day, I haven't DJed in a club probably in the last 3 years. But packages still show up at my door, vinyl, or I still get in my inbox, the latest, MP3s or, all that stuff. So that stuff, because I still maintain those connections. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's magnificent. So, as we get ready to bring this to a close, I just want to make sure that people know what you've got coming up in the pipeline, or where they can follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing, or even, contact you for more information.
Yeah, so right now, honestly, like I said, I'm just kind of doing my own thing. I'm here in Texas now, working and living life and doing that thing. I work, I have an actual, I have a kid, so I had to get a real 9 to 5, to make sure things are taken care of. But I still do put out mixes periodically. You can find me as DJ E House on Mixcloud. That's the best place to listen to anything that I've put out. But yeah, and then on Instagram, same thing, DJ E House, and that's pretty much it. So that's where I'm at. And again, I put out mixes probably every couple of months or so. It's one of those things when the mood hits, or I hear sometimes just one song is inspiration, and all of a sudden I'll turn on a 90-minute mix because I'm like, I heard one song, I go, oh yeah, and I want to do that. So, but yeah, just look for DJ E House, and I'll pop up anywhere.
Great. So are there any thoughts or any shout outs that you want to give?
Again, just, shout out to all the folks, back home. Again, to my mentors, Tony Funkmaster Jackson, Jay Denham. Oh my God, there's so many. I can't even think. It's like so many folks over the years that have been kind to me. Of course, some of my older heads will remember the old Club Soda. That was a club I ran for like 5 years. Club 340 is what we used to call it. Thanks, for all those folks who stepped up and supported over the years. You made life for this kid real awesome. Because I got to do a lot more than I think I ever would have not been able to without it. So just thanks to everybody and appreciate everybody.
That's beautiful. All right, Breezy, you have any last questions or comments for DJ E House?
It's been a very upbeat, engrossing minute, and looking forward to continuing that communication with you. So as far as the peeps out there, you should have been absorbing that if you didn't. And so, but if you didn't, then maybe in the future we can have DJ E House back. So just like to say thanks to you for joining us on this time, and wishing you all greatness in the near future as far as the distance.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sir.
All right. Yes, we thank you. And yeah, can't wait to have you back again sometime soon.
All right.
All right. What an incredible interview. It was great to have that conversation with him. I just enjoyed his energy and his passion. And it's just great to have him on the show.
That we needed that lift, that positivity, and, from the realness. And so for those of you who were with it live, you got just educated with some realness from that gentleman.
Yes, indeed. So, all right, just a little bit of information that's been going on since the last time we did our thing is there is a new A&R, so to speak, at Warner Music Group. And apparently they've signed it was 100% more than usual, based off of using this artificial intelligence that's been designed to comb through Spotify to look at specific trends to see what's kind of popping and getting hot. And so, yeah, instead of actually having someone go and do that, they've used artificial intelligence to do it.
Well, that's creeping on in. It's creeping on in. So nothing surprises me. I mean, I've learned a little bit about it myself, but that's just technology. It's just technology, and it's growing. And I don't think technology will ever stop.
No, you're absolutely right. Because in light of how they've been able to sign more acts, they've actually hired a global head of data science. So let's let you know it's around to stay. And just because, we're hearing about Warner doing it, I'm pretty sure we'll be hearing about the other 2 of the big 3 majors doing it soon too. So just a heads up, that's what's happening. But you know what? Just keep grinding, keep making the music that you want to make, and the right people gravitate towards it. All right, we're going to get back to some more music, and we'll be back after this. and we are back again. Another headline from this previous week was that SoundCloud was actually profitable in this last quarter, which is the first time that's happened. So, and I don't mean like in a long time, it's just they haven't been profitable at all, and they finally were. So that's something to say. I'm not sure exactly how long that will be sustainable considering their model, but since it is a platform that a lot of us producers, some DJs, and music artists use, the longer that they can stick around, the better that is to get your art out there to the world.
Interesting, very interesting. So can't wait to learn more about that.
Yes. All right, we're gonna get back to some more music before we head out for the night. right, it is that time. We thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's always a good time. We can't wait to do it again next Saturday, right?
Oh yeah, man. It's the real thing. It's the real thing. This has been a real ride, going through this year with what we've been doing, and now, it has taken root, it's taken hold. Yeah, and it's really growing at an exponential rate. And so I'm really thrilled about that. I know everybody else is too, or at least I hope they are.
Yes. So, all right, we can't wait to do this again next week. Same time, same place. Tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. All right, peace.
Absolutely. Peace.